Okay, so this is for the purpose of mending a rug that has a hole cut in it. Oops. So we have a hole. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some of the threads from the side of a piece of my tufting cloth. Now you can get these from the sides when it's on your frame. I'm just using a scrap piece here from one of my latest creations that I made. And so what we're going to do is pull these threads off and use them to repair our rug. So I've used this method to repair my rugs a few times in the past. As you can see, I'm just getting my needles out, and you can see that I've actually already got some thread on a needle here. Now I don't actually have the curved needle. Now if you can find the needle that is actually curved, that's probably the best option for you to use. But I don't know if you can see this here, but this actually has like a little curve on it, so it does kind of help me weave the fabric. So what I do here, I might as well use what I've actually got, and I can change that up with the new stuff we needed. So what we can see is that that hole is literally fraying away, getting bigger, quite ugly. So what I've actually done in the past is I actually start quite far up, or as far as I can go in the fabric, and what I do is I just use these little holes as a guide to reweave my fabric. Now the reason why I'm starting up so high here is because what I want is I don't want to put any knots or anything in my fabric that can cause my gun to get in the thread that can cause my gun to get stuck. So what we're doing here is we're just weaving our way through. Now as you can see, I can't weave any further here because obviously of the big hole, and so what I'm doing is I'm trying to replace the stitches that were actually lost from cutting the fabric. So as you can see, I'm pulling the thread all the way down until we can barely see it, so we can see that it's come through to the top. That's okay. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pick up on the thread that's in, and I'm just going to weave it out a bit. Okay, so what this has done here is this has actually given me the middle thread that I need to weave my new lines through. Okay, so everybody should be able to see that. And what I actually want to do is I want to go back through here, and I want to do the same thing again, but I'm going to go into the opposite. It doesn't really matter though, we don't have to be too pedantic about it. All we're trying to do is create some new threads in the center so we can weave through it. Now you might be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, it's such a long process, yada 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 yo. I'm telling you, it's so worth the long process, because you don't end up with a big ugly patch in there, and it's just like the hole's never actually been there once you've completed tufting. So I'm just going to quickly show you this. So it's all about just taking some time, and the other thing with this is just minimizing the amount of fraying that's actually happening to the fabric. So what you can see is I've come back through here, and we're just going to take that back up into the top here, doesn't matter where, and we're just going to weave that out a bit like so. So now we've got 2 extra lines in the center of our cut that we can actually weave our crosswise through to provide the fabric with strength. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck my needle in here a little bit, and I'm going to bring it up to about here, because now what we're going to do is I've brought it into here because this is the first line that I can see that is actually the full line. And so what we're actually going to do now is we're going to keep going in these loops and creating the new weave for our fabric. So you can see me going into these little holes and using the new lines that I've created and into the new hole, out into the fabric. Now it's really important to stretch it out into the fabric as far as you can go. You might have some tufted pieces in there that you can actually hook it onto to provide strength. And so what you can see now is that we've put our first line into our fabric, and we just go back into the next holes and do the same thing until we have managed to tuft, well not tuft, to sew over that hole enough that our tufting gun can actually manage to catch in the holes. So this is how we weave into the fabric. Now it's not perfect, and I'm not you know, an Olympic sewer, but it does work, and it just takes a little bit of time and patience to get there. And you'll find, which I've found in the past where I've had to actually do this, that the gun will glide so nicely through the fabric that we've mended. Sorry, I'm aware that you guys might not be able to see what I'm doing very well, but I think you'll get the gist of what I'm doing here. So this is how I have mended my fabric in the past. Now it doesn't look fabulous, but I can tell you what, it's strong. And so I'll keep going so you'll get the gist of what I'm doing here. And these ones I'm just trying to put the needle in and out where I can, making sure I'm trying to include those strands that we put in going through the center into our repair.